You stood in front of the bathroom mirror, running your fingers through your hair, wondering if cutting it short would finally make you look like somebody's tired grandmother. I know that exact fear. I lived inside it for years. But here is what I finally learned, and it changed the whole way I see myself. The pixie cut is not what ages a woman over 60. The wrong pixie does. The right one can lift 10 years off your face in a single afternoon. I found 5 of them. And the 5th one hides a small trick a London hairdresser invented in 1963, something almost nobody mentions anymore, and you can use it this week with the very hair already on your head. Let me tell you how I got here, because I did not start out knowing any of this. For the longest time, I believed short hair after 60 meant one thing: tight, curled, set once a week and sprayed until it did not move. The kind of hair you see and immediately guess the woman is older than she really is. I remember sitting in a waiting room 3 years ago, and across from me was a woman I assumed was close to 80. Frail, faded. Then she stood up, spoke, moved, and I realized she was barely a few years older than me. It was not her skin. It was not her clothes. It was her hair. That helmet of tight little curls added at least 12 years to her, and I sat there thinking, my goodness, is that what I look like too? That question haunted me for weeks. Because I had the same hair, the same weekly set, the same fear of anything that felt too bold, too young, too much. I had quietly decided, somewhere along the way, that looking invisible was the safe choice, that fading softly was what dignified older women were supposed to do. I was so wrong, and once I understood why, I could not unsee it. So let me hand you everything I found, the same way I discovered it, one piece at a time. Because by the end of this, you are going to look in the mirror differently. I promise you that. Here is the first thing that stopped me cold. The problem was never the length of the hair. Short hair does not age you. I need you to really hear that, because for years I had it backwards. I thought if I just grew my hair longer, I would look younger, softer, more feminine. So I tried. I grew it past my shoulders. And you know what happened? It hung there, thin, flat, dragging my whole face down with it. Long hair over 60, when it is fine and losing its body, does the opposite of what you hope. It pulls the eye down. It emphasizes every soft line along the jaw. It looks like it is tired, and it makes you look tired too. The tight curled cut and the long thin hang were 2 ends of the same mistake. Both of them added years, and I had been bouncing between them like they were my only 2 options. They are not. There is an entire world in between, and it has a name most women my age never got told about. It is called the modern pixie. Not the pixie from the beauty parlor, not the wash and set. A pixie built the way they build them now, with texture, with movement, with softness around the face. And the very first version I want to give you is the one that changed my mind completely. I call it the textured pixie, and the secret is in one word: length on top. Here is what almost every older woman gets wrong, and what I got wrong for a decade. We cut the whole thing short. Same length all over, sides, back, top, all trimmed down to the same tidy little cap. And that uniform shortness is exactly what reads as old. It has no shape, no lift. It sits on the head like a swim cap. The modern textured pixie does the opposite. It keeps real length on top, 3 to 4 inches of it, while the sides and back stay close. That length on top is everything. When your stylist point cuts it, holding the scissors vertically and snipping into the ends instead of straight across, it breaks up that heavy, solid line and creates little pieces that stand up and move. Those pieces catch the light. They add height at the crown, and height at the crown does something remarkable to an older face. It lifts everything. The eye travels up instead of down. The jaw looks tighter. The whole face looks lifted, without a single needle, without spending a fortune. I paid $38 for my first real textured pixie. $38. I had spent more than that on a single jar of firming cream that did absolutely nothing. And this haircut took 10 years off me in 40 minutes. But understanding why it worked led me straight into something I had never questioned. Something that made me a little angry, honestly, once I saw it clearly. Because I started asking myself, why did nobody ever tell me this? I had been going to salons for 40 years. Why was the tight little set the only thing ever offered to a woman my age? Why did every magazine, every catalog, every so-called style guide for mature women show me the same faded, shrinking, apologetic version of short hair? And here is the answer I came to, and it still bothers me. For decades, an entire industry decided what women past a certain age were allowed to look like. They decided we wanted to disappear. They decided we wanted low maintenance, forgettable, safe. And they sold us that idea so thoroughly that we started asking for it ourselves. We walked into the salon and requested our own invisibility. I did it. I sat in that chair and asked for the exact haircut that made me look older, because I thought that was what women like me were supposed to want. Nobody profits from telling you that you can look striking at 68. There is no money in confidence you already own. But there is a great deal of money in convincing you to fade quietly and buy the beige cardigan and the sensible set and never make anyone look twice. I fell for it for years. I am done falling for it. And I want the same for you. So let me give you the second cut, because this one solved a problem I thought had no solution. The soft, round, layered pixie. This one is for you if your hair has gone fine and flat on top, which happens to almost all of us, and I mean almost all of us. Hair density peaks in our 20s and thins steadily after. By the time we reach our 60s, many of us have lost a real amount of the fullness we once had, especially right at the crown. That thinning is exactly why the flat little cap cut looks so aging. There's no body left to hold it up, so it collapses against the scalp, and a collapsed haircut looks defeated. The round layered pixie is built to fake the volume we lost. Instead of one length, the top is cut in soft, rounded layers that stack on top of each other. Shorter layers underneath push the longer layers up and out. It is like scaffolding hidden inside your hair. Even fine hair looks twice as full because the shape is doing the work your density used to do. And here is the part I love. This is the cut that finally works with gray, because our silver hair is not like our old hair. When the pigment goes, the texture changes. Gray hair is often coarser, wearier, a little more resistant. Everybody complains about that, but with this cut, it becomes your friend. That extra wiry body actually helps the layers stand up. For the first time in my life, my texture was working for me instead of against me. I remember the morning I first styled it myself, no salon, just my own 2 hands and a little bit of product. I looked up at the mirror and I actually laughed out loud, alone in my bathroom, because the woman looking back looked awake, alert, present, like she had somewhere to be and intended to be seen there. But there was still one thing bothering me, around the face, the sides, because a short cut, if you are not careful, exposes everything you might feel self-conscious about. The jaw, the neck, and I was terrified of that, so I dug deeper, and I found the third cut, and this one is the softener. The long pixie, sometimes called the pixie bob. This is the answer if you are nervous. If you are not ready to go truly short, this is where you begin, and honestly, it might be where you stay, because it is that flattering. The long pixie keeps length in the front, longer pieces that fall along the cheekbones and past the ears, sometimes grazing the jaw. The back and the crown still get that lift and that texture, but the front stays long enough to frame and soften. And framing is the whole secret to looking younger with short hair. Those longer front pieces do something an esthetician would charge you hundreds for. They create a soft diagonal line down the sides of your face. That diagonal draws the eye along your cheekbone and away from the areas we tend to worry about. It hides the sides of the jaw. It skims the neck. It gives you all the lift of a pixie with a veil of softness right where you want it. The first time I wore a long pixie to a dinner, an old friend I had not seen in 2 years stopped mid-sentence and asked what I had done. Had I lost weight? Had I been on holiday? I had done neither. I had simply let a stylist leave 3 inches of length along my cheeks instead of cutting it all away. 3 inches. That was the whole difference between looking my age and looking, in her words, refreshed. Now, right about here is where I imagine you pushing back. Because I can almost hear you thinking, this is fine for her, she probably has thick hair, or money for a good salon, or a face that suits short hair, and I have none of those things. I want to stop and talk to you directly, because I felt exactly that way, and I was wrong, And I do not want that doubt to talk you out of the one thing that could change how you feel every single morning. You do not need new hair. You do not need a young face. You do not need to spend a fortune. And you do not even need to book a haircut this week to start. Because I am going to give you something you can do today, right now, with the exact hair already on your head, whatever length it is. Here it is. Change where your volume sits and change where your part falls. Most of us part our hair in the same place we have parted it for 40 years, straight down the middle or hard to one side out of pure habit. And that habit is flattening you. A part in the exact same spot every day trains the hair to lie down dead flat, right at the crown, the one place we most need lift. So tonight, do this. When your hair is slightly damp, move your part. Push it a good inch further over than usual, onto the fuller side. Then flip your head upside down and give the roots at your crown a gentle rough dry with the dryer. Fingers only, lifting up and away from the scalp. Just the roots, just the crown, 30 seconds of it. Then stand up, let it fall, and look. That lift you just created at the crown is the exact same lift the expensive textured Pixie gives you. You've just proven to yourself, for free, that raising the hair at your crown lifts your whole face. If that small change makes you look more awake, imagine what a cut built entirely around that principle will do. It costs nothing to test tonight. I want you to actually do it, because feeling it happen on your own head is what finally made me believe. If moving that part and lifting your crown gave you even 1 second of, oh, there she is in the mirror tonight, imagine having the whole method laid out for you, step by step, instead of one trick at a time. That is exactly what I put into the Ageless Style collection, my digital book you can open on your phone the moment you get it. It gives you the haircut framework, the one that shows what makes a cut add body instead of stealing it, plus the precision blueprint that keeps you far away from the granny cut and the styling protocols that build real volume in under 15 minutes. It also names the volume-killing mistakes you may be making right now, and explains why so much of the fine hair advice you have followed for years is actually working against you. And here is a free test you can run tonight, no book required. Look at the very back of the book's promise, that it adds visible volume starting at your very next salon visit, and then walk into your next appointment with the one diagonal fringe instruction and watch it prove itself on your own face. The fastest way to get the books is to scan the QR code right there on your screen or go to the link in the description or the pinned comment. Your hair is thinning a little more every year, whether you act or not, so the sooner you understand the framework, the more of it you get to work with. Now, back to your own mirror tonight. Because there is one more no-cost trick I have to give you, and this one fixed something I did not even know was aging me. And there is one more no-cost trick I have to give you, because it fixed something I did not even know was aging me. Shine. Gray and silver hair, when it goes dry and matte, reads as old and brittle. That flat, chalky, dusty look is one of the quietest things adding years to us. The fix costs almost nothing. A single drop of lightweight hair oil or serum, warmed between your palms, smoothed only over the surface of dry hair, never the roots. One drop. It brings back the light. Silver hair with a soft sheen looks expensive, healthy, deliberate. The same silver hair, matte and dry, looks neglected. I keep a tiny bottle by my mirror now, and it has done more for how young I look than creams that cost 50 times as much. So please, do not tell yourself this is for other women. It is for you. Tonight, with what you have. Now let me give you the fourth cut, because this is the one that surprised me most. The one I would have never chosen on my own. The tapered Pixie with a defined nape. I used to think anything close cut and structured was too harsh, too severe, too masculine for a soft, older face. I was wrong again. The tapered Pixie is cut so the hair gradually shortens as it goes down the back of the head, blending into a clean, close nape at the neck. And what that taper does is create a beautiful, elegant line right where a lot of us feel self-conscious, the back of the neck. Here's the paradox I did not expect. Covering the neck with hair does not hide age. It often adds it. A short, clean, tapered nape actually looks younger and more graceful than a fuller cut trying to hide the neck, because a long line at the neck elongates and lifts the whole silhouette. Think of the most elegant older women you have ever admired. Very often they wear their hair up or short and clean at the neck, showing that graceful line, wearing a pair of earrings that finally have room to be seen. That was a revelation to me. For years, I let my hair hang around my neck like a curtain I was hiding behind. And the hiding was the very thing making me look older and smaller. The tapered Pixie taught me to stop hiding, to show the line of my neck as something elegant rather than something to apologize for. And the day I first wore small pearl earrings with a tapered Pixie, I felt like the neckline of my whole self had been redrawn. People noticed my face again, my eyes, my earrings, not my worries. This cut also happens to be the lowest maintenance of all 5. Because the shape is doing the work, it grows out gracefully and styles in about 2 minutes. For a woman who told herself for decades that she wanted low-maintenance hair, I finally found low maintenance that does not mean invisible. Simple and striking are not opposites. I had them confused my whole life. But all 4 of these cuts, as much as I love them, were still only the beginning, because underneath every one of them was one small technique. One thing that separates a Pixie that looks its age from a Pixie that looks 10 years younger. And it is not the cut at all. It is how the front is shaped and worn. This is the 5th thing, and it is the secret I promised you at the very start, so let me tell you where I found it, because that is what made me trust it. I went looking through the history of the haircut itself, back to the moment the shortcut on a woman first became something powerful instead of something plain. And it kept leading me to one name, a hairdresser in London named Vidal Sassoon. In the early 1960s, he threw out everything the salons had been doing. The setting, the teasing, the spraying, the stiff helmet of curls that women sat under dryers for hours to achieve. He decided hair should move. He decided a cut should work with the bones of a woman's face, not sit on top of her head like a hat. And in 1963, he created a geometric cut built entirely around one idea. The shape of the cut should follow the angles of the face and lead the eye upward and forward. Everyone remembers the shapes he made famous. But the piece almost nobody talks about now, the piece I had to dig for, was what he understood about the fringe, the front of the cut. He did not cut the front straight across. He cut it on a diagonal, a soft, angled fringe that fell across the forehead and swept down toward the outer edge of the eyebrow, ending near the outer corner of the eye. And here is why that one detail is pure magic for a face like yours and mine. A diagonal line across the face creates lift. Our faces, as we age, settle downward. Everything softens and drifts down, and a straight horizontal fringe cut flat across the forehead echoes that downward heaviness and underlines it. But a diagonal fringe cuts against gravity. It draws a rising line across the face. It leads the eye up and out toward the temple, exactly the direction we want the eye to travel, away from the jaw and up toward the brow and the eyes. It is an optical lift, a tiny drawn line that fights the sag without a single injection, and it hides something too. That soft diagonal sweep falls lightly over the forehead and gently veils the horizontal lines there, the ones across the brow, softening them under a whisper of hair instead of exposing them under a hard, blunt edge. Sassoon understood in 1963 that where the front of the hair falls decides whether a face looks like it is rising or falling. And that knowledge got buried under decades of the same tired, flat, aging cuts sold to women like us. So here is exactly how you use it this week, and you do not even need a brand new haircut to start. If you have any length at all in your fringe or in the front pieces of your hair, you can restyle it on the diagonal right now. Part your hair a little off-center, on the deeper side. Take the front section, and instead of combing it straight down onto your forehead, sweep it across on an angle, aiming the ends down toward the outer corner of your eyebrow. Dry it in that direction, guiding it across with your fingers or a brush so it learns to fall that way. Let it break softly over the brow, not sit in a stiff line. Look at what happens. That single diagonal sweep across your forehead lifts your whole face. It opens your eyes. It softens the lines on your brow. It draws every line of the cut upward and outward. This is the exact principle a London master built his entire revolution on more than 60 years ago, and it has been sitting there, half forgotten, while women our age kept being handed the flat, heavy, downward cut that does the opposite. When you do book your cut, this is the one instruction that matters most. Tell your stylist you want the front cut on a soft diagonal, sweeping toward the outer corner of the eye, not straight across. That one sentence is the difference between a granny pixie and a pixie that turns heads. I have watched it happen on my own face and on friends I have sent to the salon with that exact instruction. Every single one of them came back looking lifted, brighter, years younger, and not one of them could quite say why. That is the whole point. A good lift should be a mystery. People should see that you look wonderful and never be able to name the reason. Let me put all 5 together for you now, because I want you to walk away holding the complete picture, not scattered pieces. The textured pixie, with real length left on top and point-cut ends that stand up and lift the crown. The soft, round layered pixie, with hidden layers that fake the fullness our fine and silver hair has lost. The long pixie, the gentle place to begin, with longer front pieces that frame the cheekbones and softly veil the jaw and neck. The tapered pixie, clean and graceful at the nape, that stops you hiding and shows the elegant line of your neck. And running through all of them, the secret from 1963, the diagonal fringe that draws your whole face upward and fights the downward drift of the years. Not one of these requires you to be younger than you are. Not one requires thick hair or a fortune or a perfect face. I have none of those advantages. I have thinning hair that went silver years ago and a jaw that is not what it was at 40 and a budget that does not stretch to expensive treatments. And these 5 ideas together made me look and feel like a woman worth a second glance. That is not vanity. That is refusing to accept an invisibility I never actually agreed to. Because here is what I understand now that I did not understand 3 years ago in that waiting room. Staring at a woman my own age I had mistaken for 80. The tight curled set, the flat long hang, the beige and the fading and the shrinking, none of that was ever really about hair. It was about a story we got told. A story that said women past a certain age should make themselves smaller, quieter, less noticeable, and that anything else was foolish or vain or trying too hard. I believed that story for years. I let it cut my hair and choose my clothes and lower my voice. And it was a lie. Elegance does not expire. Presence does not have an age limit. The most magnetic women I have ever seen were not the youngest ones in the room. They were the ones who had decided, quietly and completely, that they were still here and still worth looking at. Their hair had lifted, their eyes were visible, their necks were shown, not hidden. They walked in like they belonged, because they had stopped asking permission to be seen. That is what a good pixie really gives you. Not just a younger face, though it gives you that too. It gives you back the decision. The decision about whether you fade or whether you stay visible. For years, someone else made that decision for me, and I did not even notice it being made. Now I make it myself, every morning, when I lift the hair at my crown and sweep my fringe across on that diagonal and catch my own eye in the mirror and think, there you are, still here, still worth a second look. I want that for you more than I can say. So here is what I would love from you now. Think back over the 5 cuts I gave you and tell me honestly, which one made you feel that little flicker of maybe? Was it the long pixie, the safe place to start, the one that keeps a soft veil along your cheeks? Or was it the tapered pixie, the bold, clean line at the neck that stops you hiding? Or was it that diagonal fringe secret from 1963 that you can try tonight before you ever book a chair? Tell me. Leave a comment right now and name the one that spoke to you, and tell me whether you are ready to try it. I read them, and I answer, and I promise you there are hundreds of women reading alongside you who feel exactly the way you do and are looking for one other voice to say, yes, me too. Let us do this. And if any part of this made you sit up a little straighter, if any part of it made you believe that looking striking at 65 or 70 or 78 is not only possible but yours for the taking, then come sit with us. Subscribing is not about helping me. It is about standing with a whole community of women who have decided, together, that we are done fading quietly. Women who believe elegance has no expiration date and visibility is not just for the young. That is who gathers here. And I have something for you next that I have wanted to share for a long time. Because a beautiful cut deserves a face that looks just as lifted, and I found one small change in the way I hold my head and set my shoulders, one thing borrowed from the way the great women of an older era were actually trained to carry themselves, that takes even more years off than the haircut does. It costs nothing. It takes practice, not money. and it works whether your hair is long, short, silver, or somewhere in between. I will show you exactly how in the next one, so make sure you are here when it arrives. You were never meant to disappear. Somebody just told you that you were, and you believed them for a while, the way I did. But the hair on your head right now, tonight, is enough to begin taking it all back. Move your part, lift your crown, sweep that fringe across on the diagonal, and go look at the woman who has been waiting there in the mirror the whole time for someone to finally see her. She is you. She always was. And she is not finished yet, not even close. This video gave you the overview, but the full continuation, all 5 modern pixies, cut and styled step by step, including that little London trick, is waiting inside the Ageless Elegance Circle. In there, you can ask me your own question, and a real person, me, answers you myself. You won't be doing this alone. You'll belong. Just point your phone's camera at the code on screen. And you can cancel anytime, no risk at all. Now that you've found your perfect pixie, let's talk color. The right shade can take years off your face and brighten everything instantly. I'll show you the 7 best ones, and it's starting right here.